It's 7 o'clock. I'm going to call this meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge. Okay.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jeff.
You bet.
Shauna, can you call roll, please?
Chair Kelly Cochran,
Here.
Co-Chair Jeff Craig,
Present.
Commissioner Chris Rule, Commissioner Erica Bartholomew,
Present.
Commissioner Dan Swanson,
Present.
Commissioner Joe Pestinger, and Commissioner Tom Bush.
Present.
And
roll-
I'm sorry.
The roll is complete. We have a quorum.
Thank you. I received a call from Chris Rule. He's been called away. Do we have we heard from Joe? Anybody? No?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Craig, I move we excuse Commissioner Rule since he let you know he wasn't going to be here.
Erica, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? So carried. Okay. The public may attend this meeting virtually via the platform Zoom by clicking the link above or by telephone or in person at City Hall. Moving on to agenda approval, does the agenda require an addition or removal of a topic?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Craig, it has been brought to my attention that we have an item from the city that needs being addressed and that our acting secretary will address it for us. And I would recommend that we do it at the beginning of new business
Okay.
to get it out of the way. And I move that.
Are you making a motion?
Yeah.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? So carried. Anything else on the agenda that needs to be changed? No? Okay. Public comments. Comments may be sent to the Planning Commission Secretary Danielle Charchenko at clerk@cityofording.org by 1 p.m. on the day of the meeting and will be read into the record at the meeting. In case of a question, the chair will refer the matter to the appropriate administrative staff member. Comments that come in after the deadline will be read into the record at the next Planning Commission meeting.
We did not receive any written comments.
Thank you. Moving right along, let's look at approval for the minutes for April 6th, 2026.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Craig, I have several
Okay.
that need addressed. First off, under item number 1, staff present, Mayor Scott Drennan was here with us and needs to be added to the people that were here. And then on the last page, we talked about a shipping container behind a house at Calistoga and deeded. That needs to be added. It actually was a late addition that happened just before good of the order, but
Okay.
so that needs added. And under sign code violations, we talked about a flutter flag flying at Daisy's Boutique. Under planned absences, Dan said he might not be here,
We
But-
appreciate you coming.
but we need to get that, in there because if he had been absent, then he would have been fine. The other thing was at 8:28, I moved and Commissioner Swanson seconded extending the meeting from 8:30 until 9, and that was approved.
Before adjournment, like, where were we? Do you remember?
Yeah,
What timeline was that?
it was at 8:28 it was,
So before good of the order?
yeah, it was just before good of the order.
And who second?
I made the motion and Commissioner Swanson
Okay.
seconded it.
Okey doke.
That was all I noticed.
Thank you. Anyone else? Nope.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Craig, hearing nobody else with any additions, I move the minutes of April 6th be approved as amended.
Commissioner Swanson, second.
All those in favor? Those opposed? So carried. Okay. At this time, we're gonna hear from, Shauna, are you gonna present this or Kim?
Yeah.
Okay.
Finance Director Tammy Motor asked me today to present this to you. These are evidently some invoices that have been sent out to vendors in the name of Ording Planning Commission, or Ording Planning Department, sorry. They are not from the city of Ording. They are attempting to get various businesses, or in this case, the developer, I believe, to pay a fraudulent invoice via wire transfer, which the city does not take payments via wire transfer, nor do we send out invoices with pixelated logos on them, and no names. So we just wanted the commission to be aware that that is happening. We are doing our best to, notify the community. We've posted on our Facebook and socials pages that there is some fraudulent activity going around. And if you receive a bill that you are unsure of, please contact the city for confirmation. So we just wanted the commission to be aware that those have been going out. We've thankfully caught those. Somebody's asked about them, so just for your attention.
Was the developer, did they receive a paper or was it strictly just digital?
I believe it was through email, and I was trying to get the to have them double check the email address it was coming from. I did not get a response back as of yet.
Wow.
So
Yeah, what happens is the developer will, or an applicant will email me and say, "Hey Kim, I've got this huge bill, sign permit for $2,000. Can you help me understand?" And we're able to see that these charges are seemingly being attached to all projects that seem to come before the Planning Commission. The city believes that there is a fraudster that is observing the agendas or attending our meetings virtually to observe which projects are going to be expecting a bill soon, and then sending a bill to those applicants in exorbitant costs. And so we want to acknowledge very publicly that we're on to you, and we'll hope that our applicants continue to make us aware of these instances when they arise, so we can let them know not to make that payment.
Wow.
Wire transfer, that should have been the red flag.
You should see the invoice. Oh, the invoice is in front of you.
The small town, big view. Nah. Wow. I can't believe that. That's
Oh,
shocking.
sure. Domino's said, Kim, our permit costs more than our sign. What's going on? As we looked into it, and found a couple of errors.
Have they been able to track like IP addresses or anything?
I don't know if it's.
I don't
gone
know.
up
I'm not
yet.
a
It
computer
may,
person.
but-
I don't know either, but that's what you hear on the news.
Mhm.
Wow, that shock. Holy cow. That's just shocking. I'm sorry to hear that.
Welcome to the wonderful world of computers.
Yeah. No
With
kidding.
everything being done online.
Yeah, makes it scary. Thank you, Shauna. Moving right along. New business, House Bill 1757, existing buildings used for residential purposes.
I'll take this one, Chair.
Thank you.
I'm here tonight for an introduction for the Planning Commission to House Bill 1757, which has been assigned to the Planning Commission by City Council to implement into Ording's Municipal Code. I know that it is not one of the favorite things of this Planning Commission to be told that the state is demanding that we have some sort of local ordinance adopted to be able to implement a new statute, but it's here in front of us again, and this time it's in House Bill 1757, which is a statute that was passed out of the 2025 session that intends on being able to ease the conversion of non-residential spaces to residential spaces. This is all a part of the state's overall effort to try and be able to encourage more housing throughout the state or create more opportunities or remove regulatory framework that might otherwise prohibit or create some sort of barrier or challenge for the production of housing. There's no action that's being requested to be taken by Planning Commission tonight. I just wanted to take the opportunity tonight to expose you to House Bill 1757 and then come back to our next meeting with some draft amendments to the municipal code that would implement the House bill. In your packets tonight, included on page, I think this is page 6, is table 1 as a part of my staff report, which just gives a summary of House Bill 1757. It explains that under the new House bill, we are required by the statute to adopt House Bill 1757 by June 30th. We will miss this deadline. And so we will instead just work, endeavor to move towards compliance with this as quickly as we can. The House bill says that cities cannot restrict density increases of up to 50% for housing units that are built within existing buildings. Again, this is all about non-residential structures being converted into residential uses. So you might think about this quite largely within the downtown core of the MUTC area. It also says that cities cannot require off-street parking commensurate with an increase in housing associated with any sort of converted space. There can be no required change of use permit or other use-based permitting requirement for the existing building's residential conversion. We cannot impose regulations that for the residential use of the existing building beyond what applies in the underlying zone. So we can apply the MUTC standards or the zone where the non-residential use exists, most likely the MUTC, but we can't apply any sort of additional standards onto that given the residential use. We cannot impose exterior design requirements on residential use of an existing building beyond what's necessary for health and safety of the interior of the structure. And so there might be if that ever came to bear, then there might be some opportunity for MUTC development that isn't exactly aligned with our ADR standards. But again, this is converted space, and so it may just be an internal and interior conversion of the space that might not alter an existing exterior of the structure. We are not allowed to prohibit housing units along major pedestrian corridors except on the ground floor. One thing that's noteworthy about this is that there is no definition in the RCW about a major pedestrian corridor. And so that's at the discretion of the city to be able to define. And so it gives the city the opportunity to be able to say that all streets within our downtown core are major pedestrian corridors, and that will enable us to be able to say that there can't be ground floor housing units, that it has to be on a second story or third story and retain that ground floor space for commercial tenants. We cannot require unchanged portions of the building to comply with our current energy code. We cannot deny a building permit application for the addition of housing units if nonconformities exist on parking height or setbacks. And we cannot require transportation concurrency or SEPA environmental study for the conversion of that space. So that's the introduction to what the House bill regulates. I will be back in July with amendments to the municipal code that would implement the House bill. As usual, this is a type 5 text code or code text amendment. And so it's going to go through a series of publicly available or publicly open meetings, followed by a public hearing. The public hearing with Planning Commission, we usually schedule after SEPA and the notice of intent to adopt with Commerce. So that way we have all public comments and state agency remarks available to the Planning Commission as it considers its recommendation. And then we'll be at a public hearing with Planning Commission for its recommendation to council, and then a separate hearing in front of council before this is eventually adopted and codified. I'll ask for any questions of the Planning Commission at this point.
I'm appalled, as I'm sure you well knew before I opened my mouth. When I read through this, I'm thinking, you know, they've already ruined their cities, so why are they picking on us? And how are we supposed to explain to someone who's building a business that you have to follow the ADR, but this dude down here doesn't? I don't see how we can justify that.
Mhm.
And is there any way that we can have a workaround? I did look at the, you know, when you look, it only says where we allow multifamily housing and the mixed use town center. And there really isn't any building in the mixed use town center that would even work into something like this. And the only thing that I can think of, the building that I can think of that would be big enough to house a development inside would be the telephone work center at the end of Corin. There's a large building down there, and that is in the mixed use town, that is in multifamily zone.
Mhm.
But it's a big old metal barn building. How are you going to have living places inside those that meet health and safety and all those things? That's not what those buildings were designed for.
Right. Yeah, this law would say that the converted space has to comply with building code informed health standards. So that much at least would be met, like ventilation requirements and
Mhm.
insulation. They wouldn't have to meet current energy codes for residential spaces, which have been getting more strict. And that would not be something that they would necessarily have to comply with. But things like ingress and egress, that doesn't necessarily apply to the upper story of a commercial space, but does in residential spaces, that would be a required component. So I think from a health and safety and sanitation perspective, the building codes framework would still apply to that conversion of the space. But if there were any changes, and this is, remember, this is, um, oh gosh, why am I now thinking conversions of existing buildings? And
Right.
so I would expect that a lot of that isn't going to manifest as facade changes. I would expect that it's going to manifest just as interior remodel effectively, with maybe some ancillary additions of, operable windows if they're needed for egress requirements with the building code compliance or something to that effect.
And potentially fire escapes. This actually, when they did this, they were looking more at the big cities and converting some of the empty office buildings, such as in downtown Seattle, into residential spaces.
Mhm.
It wasn't necessarily targeted at little towns like we are,
Right.
but we're getting the opportunity to adopt or adapt ourselves to
I wish that Olympia would just leave us alone.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, this whole thing, I hate, you know, like, so if you do have, you know, if we had a building of an office space or an old warehouse that somebody wanted to convert into lofts and stuff, and then they don't require any parking. So where are these people supposed to park their cars?
like Wild Rose would be it.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think Wild Rose. Yeah, you could think of the upstairs space at Wild Rose. That's a big building.
Wild Rose were above the chiropractor or
There already is an apartment up there.
Or
Okay.
PS
Or
or PSE.
If Big J's were to close, somebody could come in and then make that essentially a 16-room boarding house.
yeah, you could. Yeah.
One thing that I just want to remind the Planning Commission, I know you've heard me say this before, but no matter what comes out of the state that we're required to adopt, the market will always decide what gets built. We've had allowances for emergency shelters and transitionary housing and permanent supportive housing for 5 years now in this city, and we haven't seen a single one of those developments come into town. And so, they can tell us what we need to do, and we have to do it to be able to comply with the law and protect ourselves from any sort of, punitive action taken by the state. But at the end of the day, the stuff is only going to manifest if the market demands it, and the market doesn't, it just doesn't show that it often demands this of small towns.
Yeah,
The,
to me, it
the
seems,
Seattle legislation.
to me, it's terrible overreach for them to, tell us what we need to do down here, because we don't have that kind of capability.
Well, it's for them to be able to not appear to be picking on anyone specific. They do the shotgun approach and they put out this blast that makes it apply to everybody
Yeah.
if you have the elements involved. And we really don't. So it is going to require an exercise in administrative changes, but it probably won't have a whole lot of practical application.
Well, there is a loophole in their law. Says unless the building is designated landmark within the historic district. So we'll just make all of it the historic district. That'll put a little shovel in there.
Yeah, 'cause I'm gonna have a question about that, so. I mean, I know this bill doesn't specifically do that, and it's probably not the intent of it, but. Could the legal language of this bill potentially erode away at our historical requirements in the ADR? Meaning that, is it an opening? Is there that potential?
Yes, absolutely. The law specifies that exterior cladding or exterior design components can't be required of the city in this sort of conversion of the space. And so, yeah, if there were an opportunity to make a facade change, it would not be something that the city would be able to regulate an ADR standard against.
We'd have no recourse.
No.
Right. That's
So I
correct.
wonder if, when we do our code updates for our city, if there's a way that we can protect our ADRs to the maximum extent possible to safeguard.
I'll definitely look into it.
Yeah,
See what I can do.
excellent.
Yeah, because right now, what our the ADRs, we don't make you change your building. But some places, there's a timeline. This has been in effect 10 years. You got to have your building redone in 10 years. And we never set any kind of a timeline. It was more like if you're going to change the doors, if you're going to change your windows, then it needs to meet, the code.
Mhm.
And so we allowed people to leave their buildings because we didn't, if you got a new business, they don't necessarily have a big budget behind them, and so we didn't want to strap them by making them have to redo the building. But I wonder if there's some way that, like Tom said, that we could work that around to make it stiffer where they can't do that. I feel bad because we've asked our businesses to do this and they've all stepped up and done what we've asked, and now this Olympia tells us, well, we're going to let them build whatever they want, and you don't have to, they don't have to do anything. They don't even have to have parking. Some of our businesses have gone away because we required parking. And wow, just a slap in the face. It makes the city look bad, and yet it's not our fault. We didn't do anything.
Right.
I just hate that. I'm not fond of Olympia at all.
I understand, Chair.
Yeah, did you know that?
No clue. Okay,
No clue at all.
moving right along.
Yes, moving right along.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Of
much. Public hearing, Rainier Meadows, 2, final plat PUD. And let's see. Kim, are you going to do that?
Absolutely, Chair. I think you just need to read the public hearing requirement.
Yeah,
Yep, exactly.
okay. I was going to say, do I want to, open the, okay, so at this time, at 7:24, I'm going to open the public hearing, and the rules for a public hearing are: a public hearing is intended to be a one-way communication, providing citizens the opportunity to provide testimony on the public hearing topic of the city to the Planning Commission and use their to make their decisions process. Please frame your testimony in the form of a statement of fact or an opinion, not in the form of a question, because we won't answer. It's strictly, we're taking in information. You'll have 3 minutes to make your statement. Please come to the podium, state your name and your address. And I will try to tell you when you're about at 3 minutes. Anyway. Okay. First, we're going to have Kim's going to explain the final plat.
Okay, absolutely. Happy to. In your packets tonight is the Planning Commission staff report and 17 exhibits that support the staff report for the Rainier Meadows 2 final plat and final PUD. The recommendation by staff tonight is that Planning Commission issue a recommendation to City Council that conditionally approves the final plat and final PUD. I'll discuss that in more depth. This public hearing has been noticed as well as the notice of application as appropriate with our code. And I see that we have a few people here who are interested in being able to speak. I'll give some background and context as to the recommendation by staff. The original preliminary plat and preliminary PUD was an application that was submitted to the city and approved in December of 2022 by City Council. The proposal is to subdivide an approximately 10.8 acre parcel in the RU and the RC zones into 41 residential lots. The plat itself is what gives the authority to subdivide the land. The PUD is the component of the project that allows for the applicant to enjoy flexibility from the typical zoning standards that would otherwise apply to the lot. This is something that was of interest to the applicant because so much of the area in question is protected critical area or shoreline feature. And so it was their commitment to be able to preserve all of that space. And as a component of that with the PUD was to approach the city and request there to be some relief in terms of minimum lot sizes and in some cases setbacks to be able to allow for the development of 41 residential lots. That's the amount of lots that would have otherwise been allowed to be constructed if the entire lot were usable to the applicant. And so they're not seeking any sort of, true density increase, but more just a decrease in lot size. So that way, so much of the land can be protected for that critical area conservation. The council approved the preliminary plat and the preliminary PUT in line with the recommendation that was offered by Planning Commission, which was to approve the preliminary plat with 28 conditions of approval. And my staff report has analyzed the applicant's consistency with each of those conditions. There are a few outstanding that the applicant has committed to having complete before their June 10th public hearing with City Council. And so that's why the Planning Commission is being asked to issue a conditional approval tonight in their recommendation to Council to ensure that those last two conditions get met before the decision is issued. Since the preliminary plat and the PUD were approved by Council in 2022, the applicant has worked with the city engineer and planner to be able to have their civil improvement plans and landscape plans approved. That's a typical component of the plat process. What happens is that we review those elements and then the site is able to, with our approval, undergo the civil improvement stage. So that's the actual construction of the road, sidewalks, lights, utility infrastructure, things of that nature. This PUD included as a part of the project, the more favorable development standards, but also included some remarkable improvements to Charter Park as a benefit to the city of Warding and all of its citizenry, and of course our tourists that come in via the Foothills Trail as well. So the park improvements include the stormwater infrastructure, which is sized sufficient for the subdivision plus sufficient for the park and anticipated improvements at the park. It included the new parking lot that's been constructed adjacent to the park, the trail's realignment of the Foothills Trail to make space for everybody's long anticipated pickleball courts, which are also the responsibility of the applicant to provide. And so that in a nutshell is what the totality of the PUD consists of. The applicant was approved to undertake their civil improvements. Those civil improvements continue until they get a certificate of completion from the city engineer. The city engineer has issued a certificate of completion with two caveats, which are items, they're in our development jargon called punch list items. They're items that the applicant has the ability to bond for. The city is able to accept a performance bond to be able to ensure that the applicant completes those last two punch list items before the project is complete. And the city did accept a punch list or a bond for those remaining two punch list items. It was for installation of the Knox box that's going to go in at the fire gate on Meadow, and then for some additional paving to be done between two catch basins. And so we've accepted a bond in the amount of 150% of the expected cost of those improvements. Otherwise, all civil improvements associated with the plat have been reviewed by the city engineer and approved by him. In November of 2025, this commission will recall that I approached the commission to explain that this project was coming soon, and that it was the Planning Commission's responsibility to issue street names. The applicant accepted each of the street names that were decided on by the Planning Commission, which is to continue the name Brown Way Southeast on Road E. Road B would be named Fisher Street Southeast, and then Tract B would be named Mueller Court Southeast. Planning Commission also asked for me to work with the applicant to explore a few ways that they might incorporate the name Schoenbachler into the plat to pay appropriate homage to the longstanding ownership of the land by the Schoenbachler family. I'd recommended to the applicant that that there's a small park that's included as a part of the plat. It's called Tract C. It's intended to be of benefit of the plat owners. And I had explored with them the ability to kind of designate that park as the Schoenbachler Park. The park has a trail, a small foot trail that connects Schoenbachler Park to the Foothills Trail. The applicant has offered to name the trail Schoenbachler Trail, and has included, and is included in your packets tonight as Exhibit 17, a mock-up of a sign that they would like to be able to post next to that trail, designating it as the Schoenbachler Trail, again in homage to the family's long ownership of the property. As a part of the application for the final plat, the city requires, I'm sorry, I already went over that, excuse me. This is a type 5 application, and the reason why is because there is a zoning overlay that gets included as a part of the application. And so final PUDs are processed by way of an amendment to the official zoning map. And so a zoning map change to incorporate an overlay at the PUD requires or necessitates a type 5 application process, which means that we are here tonight for the overall recommendation of the Planning Commission at a public hearing, and then we'll have a separate public hearing on June 10th with council for their decision on that. Their action, if recommended as so by the Planning Commission, would be to conditionally approve the plat and to accept an ordinance that codifies the change in the zoning map to overlay a PUD overlay on our zoning map. We have appropriately noticed this application and this hearing. We've received no comments or written remarks from the public so far. The criteria of approval for final plats and final PUDs are included beginning on page 17 of your packet. To mind saving some time here, I'll just say, because there are 28 conditions of approval, each of which is analyzed in my staff report, I'll discuss the 2 remnant criteria of approval that have not yet been met and are expected to be met probably this week by the applicant. One of them is criterion number 28. Criterion number 28 requires that on Tract B, no parking signs be installed on either side of the street. That has not been done. I just went over to the plat before Planning Commission tonight. I checked again. It's still not been done. I reached out to the developer. He's indicated that the contractor will be out on site tomorrow morning to install those signs.
Did you require no parking on someplace else in the plat?
Yes, there's no parking on one side of both of the roads, and then on Tract B, because it's so narrow, that one is supposed to have it on both sides. It doesn't have that installed at all right now. And so that's been an identified discrepancy of the plat. The developer is aware of it and is expecting their contractor to be on site tomorrow to install those remnant signs. So that's criterion number 28. That's one of the ones that has not been met so far. The only other one that has not been met is criterion number 13. And that requires for an easement to be recorded related to the stormwater pond. The reason why is because the stormwater pond that's being developed as a part of this project is technically on city land. It's within our property adjacent to the trail on Charter Park's property. However, the applicant is responsible for maintaining everything inside the fence of that pond. The HOA is responsible for maintaining the pond itself. But there needs to be an easement that's recorded that says that the city authorizes and allows the HOA access onto its property and into the fenced area to maintain that pond. We have not yet received a recorded version of that easement. We did just this morning receive a version of the easement that's agreeable to both parties. And so it's a matter at this point simply of signing it here at the city and then recording it with the county. So the applicant's already signed. The city just has to do our part on that at this point. So we expect for that to be done this week. Those are the only two criteria of approval that were associated with the preliminary plat that haven't been met, that are expected to be met, but as a matter of due diligence, are recommended conditions of approval for the Planning Commission to include in its decision tonight to ensure that the applicant has those completed before a decision is rendered on the final plat. The other condition of approval that I'm recommending is that the applicant is not able to receive a certificate of occupancy until the pickleball courts are completed. That was not one of the criteria of approval, but it was certainly a well thought out aspect of the PUD. And there are practical reasons why it's not completed yet. You'll see that the concrete pad has been laid, but the top layer that goes on the pickleball court has been expressed by the contractor that the material that it's made of has to be laid in really ideal conditions, hot, dry conditions, for it to be able to seal appropriately. And so the city has reviewed this and concurs that, you know, the work should be done in more ideal summertime conditions. So the pad has been laid, but we understand that there are practical implications to waiting on finishing that pickleball court portion of the PUD until July or August. And so we want to be able to include that as a part of the decision for the final plat. We don't have any expectation or reason to think that the developer is not going to complete it, but we think that and the developer is accepting of this condition is that, you know, telling them they can't have certificate of occupancy of any structure on the plat will concrete their motivation to be able to finish that very important part of the project. Maybe the most important part of the project, according to some that you might ask. And so with that, I will kind of, yeah, like I said, I won't go over all of the other criteria simply because they've been satisfied. There's a large discussion and many exhibits to support it, but I'm happy to address any questions about any of the other criteria that the Planning Commission might have. The staff recommendation is included on page 21 of your packets. We recommend that the final plat and the final PUD be conditionally approved on the 3 conditions that are included to ensure that those final 2 criteria are met before a final PUD or final plat decision can be rendered, and that certificate of occupancy not be allowed to be issued on the final plat until the pickleball courts are finalized and approved by the city engineer. At this point, I'll take any questions that the commission might have.
You want to hear from the public first? Let's do that. Is anyone in the audience, would you like to speak, please? State your name and address, please. I don't know.
It is.
How about now?
Yeah.
Better? My name is Bruce Freebury. I live in Mountain View Estates, adjacent to this project. In the last month, I have addressed some concerns in the construction of that project with City Council. I've met with them, the City Council members, mayor, parametrics, and discussed my topics of concern. Up to 2 hours ago, detectable warning mats are not installed at the ADA parking. There's no ADA access to the bathrooms. Wheel stops are not pinned down in the parking lot. As Kim said, no parking signs on Shared Access Road B are not installed. No parking signs along the additional roadways have been repaired to a point. The signs, posts, and bases have been installed correctly. Sign panels are not to spec. There are new holes in some of the new existing asphalt that have not been repaired. There are no environmental signs on the gates to the holding pond. And this is all stuff per plan. There's no labeling on any of the storm drains. The wetland signs that have been installed are not to city spec. Catch Basin 1, which is huge for us in Mountain View, has not been addressed. It's a drainage problem. Water runs past the drain into our retention pond, which is something that just cannot be done. There has been a few things that have been accomplished in the last month. The mound of dirt has been removed. The striping has been done correctly. Trail bollards have been done. The no parking signs, Telspar poles have been installed correctly. The remainder of the wood boundary fence along the pond has been finished painted, along with the black chain link fence has also been painted, same color as the fence. Lastly, I'm trying to get discussion with somebody that'll listen regarding the fire access gate there. Nobody seems to want to take responsibility for it. We, as a neighborhood, are not happy with it, and nobody wants to take responsibility for it. So I'm still looking for that. So it is my opinion, my recommendation, do not tell the city council that you guys approve this for final inspection. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak?
Good afternoon. I can't beat that. My name is Ray Sneesby. I live in Mount View Estates, 96 senior living housing. My problem is I'm 91 years old. I have COPD, pop a lot of pills, puff a lot of stuff. I'm thinking about buying an electric cart, but I have a gate in my way to get at the trail. So my answer will be down the street, coming at the Eagles. I'll call Devin, the police chief, ask for an escort. I can't get an electric cart through there easy. Why they put a barrier up for seniors, I don't know why, but that's my problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Pat Martinez, and I live in the same community as these neighbors. I've been there for about 19 years. I'm very pleased with the community that I have there and friendship, as well as living in the town of Oregon. I moved from Federal Way, and I'm really glad to be not there anymore. My concern is that I do a lot of walking. And since this flooding that we've been occurring in both January and March, where our retention pond has filled up completely and into the street in front of 3 homes. That's not at my home. Behind my home, there's a swale, and the water has filled up about 3 feet in that swale. I don't know how I'm asking you to address this water that's seeping from there into our area, but it never did it before. The going out like I do quite often and look at where's the river, where's the retention pond, what level is it? Ours goes down, and it's my understanding it goes out to the river, the water that's in our retention pond. Theirs hasn't moved. It hasn't gone anywhere. It's still there. I can only imagine what we're going to have from mosquitoes and bugs. So hopefully you'll look at some of these other issues that we're experiencing in our neighborhood and in our park that are really a hazard should they be allowed to continue. We're all seniors in there. I looked out the window and I went, oh my goodness, it's about 3 feet behind my house. But it's a swale, so it didn't flood me, nor was it going to at that point. But I'm 86 and I love being there. But please, would you do something to look at this water issue that's coming towards our park? Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Anyone else? No? Okay, at this point now, commissioners, turn the paper back over. Questions for Kim?
Yeah, I wasn't aware of I was aware of, I was aware of the stormwater issues, but I wasn't aware that, so from my understanding is, we have a diversion going on of, stormwater into another pond and it's causing flooding.
I'm not familiar with that either. Have you heard that, Kim?
No, I've not.
That definitely sound, I do know that anytime we move stuff in this valley, it moves the water someplace else. I had the same happen when my backyard got flooded when they built the houses on Kansas. So I'm well aware of how that happens. They built a French drain to keep that. They haven't messed with the wetlands, so I'm not sure why it would be flooding into their pond.
The city's received a lot of remarks. You know, this year was really something spectacular from a flood perspective, and so we've certainly seen flood activity here that we haven't otherwise seen in probably 2 decades in this community. And so I know that we've heard a lot of that from I mean, we're talking about citywide that we've heard a lot of that. For this project, the stormwater is intended to facilitate directly to that pond, which is actually oversized. Like I said, it is sized to be able to take all of the stormwater need from this plat, plus all of the stormwater need from the Charter Park and from the future anticipated improvements at Charter Park. This has all been, I trust the city engineer to be able to ensure that that got, built appropriately to what was approved and against the stormwater regulations. He's been the trusted city engineer here for 2 decades. So I don't have a lot of concern with the sufficiency of that. He's issued his certificate of completion.
Do we know where the pond on this property is actually draining to? Does it just drain down through the aquifer or is it actually going somewhere?
I would need to ask JC. I'm not sure.
Maybe, would it be appropriate to, could we invite, one of the comments up there, maybe we can ask them? One of the member of the public
For what?
for what they're talking, if we had questions about their concerns.
Yes, you may ask.
Okay. So what was specifically, going on with the stormwater pond?
It really doesn't have anything to do with the stormwater pond. It's the drainage from the asphalt parking lot within the park that drains into a catch basin. It's supposed to drain into a catch basin. That catch basin drains into the retention pond. Retention pond feathers out into the wetlands. The problem is the water is going past the catch basin, draining onto our property at Mountain View Estates. We've met out there. Everybody and their brother has seen it. They said it needs to be fixed, and so far it has not been fixed. And everybody's saying you can't have water from one plat going on to somebody else's property. There's another area down there where that big mound of dirt was that was causing water to be dammed and draining into the mitigation ditch that drains into our mitigation pond. And that may have been fixed. We haven't had another rain since they fixed it. So we just can't absorb more water than we already are taking from the state highway, from the property to the south of us. And now this plat water is draining into our pond as well, causing flooding and more city maintenance. So I think I hope that answers some of your questions.
You said that the drain, it's, I'm assuming it's a road storm drain.
Yes, it's catch basin number 1 on the plans.
And who did you speak to when you were just talking about that one?
Mayor,
The mayor?
city administrator, Ryan Public Works, and his assistant.
And did they
And-
tell you what they thought was wrong with that? Why it's not draining the way it's properly supposed to be doing?
It's probably been graded wrong and paved wrong. There's supposed to be a percentage fall to that drain.
Right.
And my opinion, and I am a retired contractor for above ground surfaces improvements. The drain is too high.
Oh,
And the water's coming down, it's going around it onto our property. Also, water from the new trail alignment from the Charter Park side is draining down the trail. Supposed to be going to catch basin number one. It's not. It's going beyond it onto our property. That's our big concern. We can't handle any more water.
The town of Warning can't handle any more water.
Understandably so. And I'm sorry, Kim, I got to correct you. This area has been flooded. I've lived there for 12 years and it's been flooded 3 times in 12 years.
I want to make sure that we can address their concerns. as much as we
Yeah.
can.
I have a question for Ray. What gate are you talking about that you can't get through?
If I get an electric vehicle, I can't, the arm of river is on our side of the trail. This is their side over here. This is our side. Here's a gate. Fire gate, they moved onto our side of the trail.
Over there. And if we ever have any.
Are you talking about Meadow? You're talking about Meadow. I can address this. This is not related to this project. This, you're talking about the gate on Harmon adjacent to that blocks.
The gate on the trail.
Right, understood. But there's already a gate on the other end of Meadow that's been installed.
We had access to get to the trail until they put up the big arm. It's a new gate, new arm they put on our
Yeah.
side of the trail.
Uh-huh. I understand what you're talking about. It's just there's already, the other end of that road is already blocked by another gate.
We don't come down that way. We have a gate by our retention pond to get out to the trail.
Oh, I see. I see. I see. Yeah.
So this side or that side,
Mhm.
and if it's wet, muddy, you'd slip and fall.
Yeah. So Chair, they're discussing, there is a fire gate that's been installed at the end of Meadow adjacent to the Foothills Trail. That's been installed as a requirement of the fire department. The fire department has to have an alternative access into the site. There's only one way in and out of that site off of Brown. There has to be an alternative for fire safety. And so the design and approved approach from the fire department was to be able to allow that through Meadow as long as there was a Knox box that was installed on that fire gate right there. So that access way is intended to be able to provide for life safety.
So are you coming down Meadow?
So Meadow, I should also note,
It's
Meadow is a private road.
Right.
It is not something, it is something that many citizens in the community have used as an access to the trail, but it is not a designated public good.
Right. I thought your development had a gate in the back that was supposed to access the trail. They don't?
No,
They don't?
We have a big, huge gate, get out
Of our part.
plus a passenger gate. Get out to Meadow, or walk to the trail.
I'll capture this as completely as I can for the benefit of the commission. The city was approached a little over a year ago with a lot of people upset in the community, given a new gate that was installed on Meadow on the Harmon side. It was the property owners immediately adjacent to that property that had installed that gate. And there were a lot of community members that were upset about that because they lived along Harmon and they used that pathway as a means of quick access to the Foothills Trail. We studied this and we learned that Meadow is not a public right. It is a private road that is associated with a plat that was recorded a number of decades ago and is restricted to the benefit of those property owners. In instances where the public has had unfettered access as an effective easement for public good, and they've used it for a certain duration as some sort of public entity or some public good, there's an opportunity called a prescriptive easement that a private party can pursue civilly to be able to reacquire the right that they felt that they obtained through some sort of, long-term public use of that good. As best as I understand, that opportunity has never been undertaken by anybody in the community. And so those gates remain. The gate in question related to this project is required for fire access, but we know very, very well, we have looked diligently into this at the city level and know that that road is not something that is a dedicated public use. We understand that it's been used a long time in that way, but it isn't some sort of formal public good.
Well, it's interesting because that road was access to this plat when it was the farm. That's how people got to the farm, was by that road. So to me, that sets a precedence that they do have access. The plat's supposed to have access. So I'm just curious. I've never walked back in there, and so I'm not familiar with how you're accessing the trail. When the trail was originally built, that was one of the discussions, that there would be a gate or whatever for the citizens of that community to be able to get on access the trail and walk into town without having to walk on the highway. And so it's surprising to me that their gate, that's surprising that the gate is where it's located. That's crazy. That wasn't a good plan.
It would restrict it, so you still have a gate.
You talking about putting the arm on the opposite side of the trail, the meadow side of the trail? I did see that big gate there, but I knew that was the fire thing. That's interesting. Right.
Can I add one more thing?
Sure, Bruce.
That new fire access gate has totally isolated us being able to leave in an emergency situation. If our access on Harmon Way is blocked for some reason, we have a gate on the Harmon Way side. Now we have a gate on the park side. We cannot get out. We do have a vehicle gate on our property line that would access Meadow Lane and a man gate. If that gate is closed and locked, we cannot get out. Big concern. This last week, I talked with police chief, big concern for him as well. I haven't been able to get to anybody close to the fire department to see what their take is, but I don't think there's going to be anybody around that knows anything about that gate. That gate is a huge issue with a lot of people, and everybody is pointing fingers at somebody else. The city says this, the fire department says this, the PD says this. We want that gate on the other side of the trail. Move the gate. Problem solved. It's really not supplying fire access to only one house on Meadow Lane that has an address on that. The electric gate at the other end is a chain link gate. Fire department says they'll run it over. They're not running over this gate. It is an iron gate, supposed to be breakaway. I don't think it is. But fire department will not break that gate down. If they don't have keys to it, I don't know if they do. I know they should. We are hemmed in, can't get out. I think everybody has agreed on my previous meetings that it's common sense, move the gate.
Interesting.
I'll step in here for the benefit of the chair and for the benefit of the commission. I thank the continued comments from the public. If you look at page 28 of your packet, you'll see the plat that was approved by Planning Commission or recommended for approval from Planning Commission associated with the preliminary plat, and again approved in 2022 by council. You will see on page 28 that the fire access gate is clearly demarcated where it is built today. It is demarcated as being constructed on the the non-plat side or the west side of the Foothills Trail. The city does not right now have any opportunity to require the applicant to change what it approved 4 years ago. They have built what they were told that they were allowed to build. We do not have the chance to be able to tell them that they need to change it.
Best laid plans. Wow. Maybe they would like to do something to be a good neighbor. Not so much. Mr. Freeberry, you were listing a whole bunch of things. And you have obviously made a list. Have you presented that to the powers to be, mayor, the city council? Okay. That's very interesting. Well, now the ADA stuff, like on the bathroom and the ramps and stuff, that's got to be taken care of. That's part of law. You've got to do that. They have to fix that. Are they aware of what's missing in the bathrooms and the ramps he was talking about in the parking areas?
The parking lot has been something that's been approved by the city engineer as a part of a certificate of completion. I can ask that the building official, who does all of our ADA review, go out and double check. If there is any sort of issue with that, then we can certainly incorporate that as a conditional requirement of the final plat. So I can ask the building official to go out again tomorrow and ensure ADA compliance. Related to the restroom that's out there, that has nothing to do with this project. I think that's Planning Commission's well aware of the long process associated with that restroom. It's still not done. Beyond simply just ADA, I mean, even the floor doesn't drain properly in that restroom, because there's some contracting errors when it was initially laid. And so the city is still working to be able to explore the appropriate recourse for undoing and redoing some of that work. So that restroom is nowhere near ready for certificate of completion or ADA compliance.
Disconnected from the final plat.
That is disconnected from the final plat. That is the city's responsibility to take on that project. The city had initially agreed to terms with the Army to be able to allow the guardsmen the opportunity to conduct the work as long as we provided the material.
I recall that.
Right.
So I don't wanna put us in a rock and a hard place, but I really legitimately wanna find a way to help these folks here and address their concerns. And I understand, this was approved 4 years ago, and, it's, everybody has good intentions, but maybe this was something that, because I don't think, 4 years ago, this is a big plan. I don't know if anybody actually looked specifically at a gate and realized maybe that wasn't the best fit. Maybe they didn't realize maybe it made sense on a plan, in all practicality, but in the real world, maybe it's causing problems. And is there anything that we could do to resolve that issue for them?
Not without loss to the city. I would expect that the developer would expect for the city to pay for any sort of adjustment at this point.
And what about the drainage issues you're having? Is there anything that we can do to help them?
I texted JC, our city engineer. He told me that the storm pond is designed to drain to the wetland area. And answer your question, Chair, it's designed to drain to the wetland area down by the river. All the properties over there always have. They have to match pre-forested runoff and retain the rest of their storm drain.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Sure.
The ADA,
Go to the microphone, please.
the ADA truncated dome mats that are not in place are on the plans to be installed.
Okay.
And when the city engineer or whoever it is that's looking at completion of items goes out, will they be checking to ensure that the signage is correct and in compliance with the required codes?
That much has been done. You mean the signs that are the no parking signs and?
Well, I was, Mr. Freebury pointed out the holding area and the wetland area signs don't comply.
Right. His comment was that there's no environmental sign at the storm pond. I don't know that there needs to be. I can double check that requirement. That would have been something that would have been checked by the city engineer, but I can certainly take that note. But it's not a protected critical area.
Understood. but
Right.
As long as we verify that all the required signage is in place, they're going out to do the fire lanes and no parking signs anyway. If they
Right.
could double check the other signage to ensure that it's in compliance with the required codes, that would be a good step.
Yeah, we can absolutely do that. You know, we undertake a very, very diligent effort in being able to review compliance with these plans that are robust and in depth. Um, and we require adjustments if something is installed wrong. The bollards out on the trail are a perfect example of that, actually. I don't know if you used the trail in a time earlier this spring, but the bollards had been installed by the contractor incorrectly. They'd been installed too close to each other, so it created really narrow space in between each bollard. And we were receiving some complaints from the community, and I myself had used it and thought, how am I supposed to ride through this? I mean, I'm you know, sucking in as much as I can here to get through here. And we looked at the plans and confirmed that, in fact, they'd been installed incorrectly. The city engineer took that up with the developer. The developer went out, uninstalled the work and reinstalled correct bollards against the plans. So we do a diligent job at reviewing these you know, meticulous specs and details at each of these. The city engineer, you know, and I approved these civil plans from them, I think in January of 2024, maybe 25. I can't recall right now. It's in my report. But it takes them a long time to be able to build this and build it right before the city engineer is willing to give his stamp of approval and certificate of completion. I put a lot of faith into that.
Do you know when in the timeline they mark the drains that they go to the rivers? I think most of our drains don't they have signs, paint on them saying, you know, drains to river, save fish or something?
Decal.
Is that what it
Sticker.
is? Is there
Probably
do you know what part of the development that's in their timeline to do that? It wouldn't be at the beginning,
No.
maybe they do it later. I'm just curious.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Don't
I
know.
could check against the plans and see if that's one of the specs that's in there, or if that
Most
gets
of our
reviewed by the city
storm drains are
engineer.
marked that way.
Right.
Got, you know,
Right.
so it looks like it's not a decal, but a stencil, like they lay down and
Yeah.
spray paint yellow and it has a fish and stuff and
Or the little decal. I know what you're talking about, the little
Yeah, the little-
stamp
yeah.
on it. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
yeah.
Typically, it's at the very end
Yeah.
after all construction's done.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, that way they don't knock it off
Yeah,
when they bring a
It's
piece of equipment in
usually
to
when the
fix something.
when the silk fabric is pulled from the drains, etc.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And
Okay.
do we know the ADA pads that were mentioned? Do we know when they're planning on getting those in?
That was associated with the parking lot. I don't know of there being any issue from an ADA compliance perspective
Well,
with,
when you have a sidewalk that comes to a crossing where they have to cross, there's supposed to be a tactile pad,
right, understood.
and it's allegedly in the plan,
Yes.
but they haven't been installed yet.
I will take that note to ask that of the city engineer, but that would have been, he's already reviewed the parking lot associated with Charter Park. So I've not understood there to be any outstanding issue with that. I will double check on that myself. That's certainly something, again, that can be captured in a conditional approval for the project.
Right, so that would be like a number 4.
Right, where you could say that, you know, ADA compliance needs to be ensured prior to the certificate of occupancy or as
Right.
otherwise determined by the building official.
Okay. I'm good.
Did they finish all the grading on that site yet?
They might still be waiting. There was grading associated with catch basin number 1 that was an included punch list item that we accepted a bond on for completion.
I wonder if maybe that may be tied to the drainage issues.
I think that to some degree, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe it's just an unfinished site and
There's a small amount of paving work associated with catch basin 1 to ensure appropriate flow. I don't know whether that's been done yet or not, but I know that the city has accepted that as one of its remaining items for bonding.
And fortunately, fortunately, I guess we're in the season now where we really can't really test it out that much.
Yeah, I'll do the trick. We're this project is fortunate in that it's one of those instances where the civil developer is also the home builder. That isn't always the case. There's plenty of opportunities when when those two are separate entities and where the home builder or where the developer at this stage is only interested in final plat and really isn't motivated by things like certificates of occupancy because they're not the builder. But in this case, Sound Built is in charge of the entire project. And so they have an appetite to be able to get their hands on those COs. And so it's a good recourse for the city to be able to use to resolve outstanding issues.
Absolutely.
I wonder, yeah, I'm just thinking, I'm trying to, make sure everyone is satisfied here, but, maybe their concerns are, the site work's completed, maybe their drainage issues will be mitigated. Maybe that's what it'll take. And
Mm-hmm.
Going back to the fire access gate. Is that gate a required component of that area? What
Yes.
happened if that gate disappeared?
What would happen if the gate disappeared?
yeah, we said, don't worry about it. You don't need it no more.
We're talking about if we were to move it, the city would incur a loss, but if it just disappeared,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why the gate would be required.
Yeah, I think it had to do with access onto the private road. Since it's not a public feature, I think that it was,
Right, because otherwise it would become a major, regular traffic.
a thoroughfare
Flow.
from the
Thoroughfare.
Foothills Trail onto a private feature.
Right. And so,
It's not a two-way communication.
The, well, the whole point behind it was so that the people, if you wanted to use the pickleball courts and you wanted to use the parking lot, you have to come down Brown or Washington
right,
to get into that neighborhood. You couldn't come down the private road because it's a private road.
right.
It's really kind of it kind of is annoying thing because this is a gray area. That's how that was the access to that property to begin with. But I understand, if you live on Meadow, you're not going to want all those people that are moving into these 41 houses coming down your road in front of your house. It's a gravel road and it's not going to hold up real well if they do that. So, I mean, I understand the particulars to it, but it is kind of a
And I'm wondering if
gray area there.
if the location of the gate was determined by the property line between the public property and the private property, and it has to be on that property line as opposed to on the other side.
I don't know
But I would imagine that had to do with it
why they put it on Meadow side instead of
because where's the property?
Right.
The trail is on the,
It's right on the property line.
Yeah, it's right on the edge.
Right on the
It's like
property line.
literally right there.
Yeah.
So,
Hmm. Well, it's actually on Charter Park property. Is it not?
It's Charter Park property.
Yeah, it's on Charter Park.
Find that map again.
Yeah, well, even the very first map they have, you can see where it's marked, where the fire gate is, right on the property line, on the Charter Park property line. Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Right, yeah, it's right there on the property line between the public property and the private property.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it would have to be there.
I don't know the legalities to that. No.
which would,
Well, but see, that's why, the vehicles have access on the public portion of the roadway. up to but not onto Meadow Lane, which is
Mhm.
private.
Right.
So that would be the delineator. I've got,
So if we can't move the gate, is there some other way that we can help these people move to to get access to the trail? I haven't walked back there, so I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with, the way that works, but, maybe there's an alternative here. We can do something else, that would get them from their subdivision onto the trail.
The only access we have is Meadow Lane. An auto gate and a pedestrian gate comes out on Meadow Lane. Otherwise, there's houses bordering the east side of the park. Well, you could come to our house and we'd show it.
I'll take a walk down there.
is,
But let me,
is there a possibility of adding a pedestrian gate right next to the fire gate?
Not as a component of this project.
Okay,
yeah.
We don't have, everything that's right next to that gate, that road, anything that's a component of that road isn't our property to do anything with.
well, right, but
This, all this, I think, should have been the preliminary plat discussion.
yeah. it
Yeah,
could have-
unfortunately.
I will reiterate that point. Absolutely. The preliminary plat is subject to public noticing and public hearings, just as this one is. That's the opportunity to be able to have a say in design. Once the design is authorized and built,
Yeah.
the city does not have an opportunity to adjust it.
Right,
Yeah, no, I get that. It's just a shame a lot of times, like Tom was saying, you don't see the problem until it's actually there and think, oh, whoa, that's not going to work.
Right.
Unfortunately, in construction, that's a
No,
little
we-
expensive mistake.
And I don't think anybody involved in this had any,
No.
had no malicious intent. It's
No.
just sometimes if things don't work out the way they pen out on paper.
Right.
It's unfortunate,
yep.
Right.
Best laid plans of mice and men.
No kidding.
but if we can't go back and say, oh, no, you're wrong about this, then the developer will come open season on us.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that is a shame. Okay. Oops, let me switch this. Yeah, is any more questions from the commission? Nope. At this point, then I'm going to call this meeting, this public hearing to close at 8:17. And at this point in time, I will consider a motion.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Craig. I would move that the Planning Commission recommend to the City Council that they approve final plat 26-02 and final public utility or PUD 26-01 and approve ordinance 2026-1163, authorizing an amendment to the Ording zoning map subject to the following conditions of approval. Number one, the installation of the fire lane parking signs on both sides of track B, as specified in D 103.6.1 of the 2018 International Fire Code before final plat 26-02 and final PUD 26-01 can be approved. Number two, that the applicant shall record with the Pierce County Auditor an easement for maintenance and access of the Platte Storm Pond, memorializing ownership and maintenance responsibilities of the storm pond and ownership and maintenance responsibilities of all vegetation within the fence and or boundaries of the storm pond before final plat 26-02 and FPUD 26-01 can be approved. Number three, the Charter Park Sports Court intended to be improved with 2 pickleball courts shall be completed to the satisfaction of the city engineer prior to issuance of certificate of occupancy for any structure developed within the subject site. And number four, that all ADA requirements be met for the areas in final plat 26-02 and final PUD 26-01.
There's a motion on the floor.
Yeah, that's the motion.
Commissioner Bush, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? So carried. Hopefully, most of the things that you said tonight are things that are just still in the works, especially the road thing at Basin One. It appears that's part of the problem, that they know that and they're going to look at that. The signage and stuff, that should all be taken care of, and the ADA stuff should all be taken care of. I would ask you to continue to watch what's going on over there, and if you have a problem, City Hall is always open. Come down. Mayor Drennan, we'd be more than glad to speak to you and see if, he can, guide somebody in the right direction, whatever's not going the way you want it to go. I wish I had an answer for your gate. That's really disturbing to me. Because I've been on the planning commission a long time, and I know when we planned out the trail, that was one of the big things, was we wanted it close to, because you were the only senior park at the time. And, to make sure that you had access to the trail and could come in on the trail into town and not have to, go on the highway. So I'm really disturbed that that's not working out the way it should have.
Definitely, I definitely, empathize in your situation, and I hope there's a way that, city, we can help you with the drainage issue. I'm sorry you have to deal with that, but, we're just trying to find a way, if there's a way, from the sounds of it, now I've been looking into this, and, my understanding is, a lot of the site work isn't complete yet on the plat. And, that may be part of the problem. As, the site work's just not complete, so therefore the drainage network is not fully established, but, like I said, yeah, we're always open, so.
Well, you're correct in that they cannot drain from their property onto yours. That's not legal. And if it continues to do that, you definitely need to come down and say something to the powers to be down here that this is what's happening. They came out to my house and they took pictures in my yard when that happened to me. And so, they will try to make that right. But I think Tom's right. It probably could just be the grading and see what happens. Because they're building all the houses just on one end. They left that whole area out there for the water, because that's what the cows liked, was the water. We really did had an extremely wet January and March. Both of my son's properties, one's up on the hill and one's down in Puyallup. Both of them, they hadn't seen that much water standing on their properties in a long time. They said, yeah. So we appreciate your input, though. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Folks,
Absolutely. You bet.
sorry we couldn't help you more.
Let's see here. We're on old business, dumpster violations. Did we get any kind of a result or from the Arrow Lumber and Murray and where they're going to put the dumpsters?
What was that Arrow today? They had it in lumberyards.
Oh,
Okay.
well,
No, it's fine.
earlier today,
I saw the garbage truck in the lumberyard picking up the dumpster.
Oh.
but the two dumpsters were out on the street. They
Oh,
were
they
out, yeah, they were out
Oh, I
on
see.
Calistoga. So
Jeez.
they have a recycling one inside that they go in and get. Why they can't get the other two in there as well, I don't know.
I don't
But
think we made him happy.
They were out. Yeah.
I sympathize. The flooding thing is a huge problem.
The Meadow Lane thing is
That's a huge
it's a
problem.
it's a big thing, right? Yeah, we looked into that a lot.
Yeah. No, I knew that
Because
was coming.
some new property owners moved in on the Harmon side and then put in that gate because it hadn't been there for years and years. People used Meadow to get to the foothills.
Right.
And we thought that there was going to be a prescriptive easement that came out of it civilly. I've never heard that occurring.
That- Because see, I don't know if they were using it for the trailer to get to the farm. Let's be honest about that. And because there's really no place to park down there on Meadow. It's too narrow. You can't park. So it's not like you're going to park and walk the trail or ride the trail. They were going across the trail into the farm.
Mhm.
And but it just, I feel bad about all that, and especially the gate thing. And that's something you wouldn't even notice when you looked at the maps. It looked fine. Yep, that's going to put the gate. And you had no idea that they couldn't access it from there. It's too
Right.
bad somebody didn't see that happening before we got to this point. That's what I hate about when we have people come for final plat, because there's not really anything we can do.
Right.
It is what it is.
You hope they come at preliminary plat.
Say, somebody should have said something from the citizen side at
Yeah.
preliminary.
Yeah.
We,
Right.
that's what, we never have anybody come until, it's too late.
If we
This
could have-
happens with, this happens all the time with projects that are coming in after the comprehensive plan passes. And we had no interaction at all on our great big comp plan.
Yeah.
And,
Now you got somebody
that,
talking.
that builds the framework for development that's allowed. And then somebody doesn't like it. And we're like, where were you at the comp plan?
Right.
I would love to say we could fix all their problems, but
No.
And-
99.9% out of our purview, so.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
And
yeah,
if we were to vote that down, I mean, we open
Oh,
ourselves up for
no.
so much bad stuff.
No, we can't.
right, the only, I mean,
Well, that's
by,
what the conditions are for. I mean, we're approving with
But we
conditions.
can't make up conditions out of thin
No.
air either.
no, but like that ADA that is in the plan that hasn't been installed, if that's truly the fact,
Yeah.
okay, that's a piece of cake.
Right.
Yeah, go fix
Throw that
make
in
that-
before the COEs can be issued,
Hmm.
and we're golden. They're
Right.
supposed to do it anyway. It's in the plan.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that should be
Easy.
like the fire lanes that are going in tomorrow, and like the registering the easement that you're going to get done before the end of the week. That just leaves the pickleball courts that they have to deal with. Well, and then the two things they got the bonds on, but so that should be a piece of cake.
Yeah, I just hate when they do that, come at the last. But you just never know. And that's one of the reasons our job is really so important, to read these packets, and really, even though they are a huge snore fest,
Chair, we put a lot of time and care.
I did read these. I've got highlighting all through it. I did read them. But I mean that, and
And you got them all tabbed too.
I do have them tabbed so I could access them quicker, because I'm terrible at that. The number of the pages don't get me. But
I don't see page numbers.
no, I couldn't find the page numbers either. But that's what is so important. Our job is, and I know we're volunteers and we change all the time here, but the part is that if we haven't read them and tried to, use the expertise that you have gleaned from being on this board to find the mistakes that, hey, wait a minute, look at this, that's not going to work. And now the next time we look at one, which we probably won't because there's no plat land left, but we'd see that, oh, well, let's look at that gate again, or let's look at this
Right.
again, because that's not going to work. We've learned the dumpster thing.
Well,
We won't let them put a dumpster in unless we know they can get the truck in.
and the location of that fire gate, I know from personal experience, because I've got property that borders
Oh,
public land. And the law is real clear. The gate goes on the property line,
Mhm.
and
ah,
you can't inset it, because if you inset it, then you have yielded
Part of
that
the
property. Or if you go the other way, they have yielded property. So it has to go
Right.
on that property line. And Madam Chair, it is 8:28. I move we extend the meeting until 9 o'clock before we get into old business.
Commissioner Swanson seconded.
thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? So carried.
But anyway,
Can I
that,
second the motion and oppose.
yeah, well,
No. I read through that whole, their HOA thing, because I was really concerned about the houses that back up onto the wetland. And their little fence is cute, but the grass was so high I couldn't see what the signs say. But and I wasn't going to trape out through there because I didn't know what was in that grass. But I was concerned about people like dumping their lawn debris over the fence into the thing. And it states in their HOA that they cannot do anything to that land behind their houses.
right.
So hopefully whoever runs their HOA keeps an eye on that, and don't let them, you start dumping grass clippings back there and it's going to make a huge mess.
for a whole bunch of reasons.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh, yeah, yeah. So no, I did read all your stuff. I did, but sometimes it's hard to get through, and I didn't pick it up till Thursday. So
They don't have, these are 4,000 square foot lots, so they don't have a lot of grass to
No.
clip.
that's true.
Like, than a little strip of land.
Yeah, yeah.
The,
Well,
the buffer land in between the houses, that's,
yeah. Wow. Okay. Anyway, if we're supposed to be trying to contact Arrow and Murray's and find out why on earth can't they leave their dumpsters inside the gate and let the the truck go inside and pick it up, because they drag it out there to Calistoga, and if you're on Eldridge on the day they drag them out, you cannot
Well,
speed down the
they
highway.
put 'em out on-
Calistoga.
they put them out on Sunday afternoon before they close. And they're out there until Monday afternoon, whenever the truck has come by.
Yeah,
And
Creates a huge blind spot.
and depending on how wide a gap they put in between those dumpsters when they park them on Calistoga, depends on how bad the block for your site picture is. This morning, it was terrifying.
what's bad is the city is aware that it's doing that, and we spoke to them, and I don't know if they've come up with a resolution, but we need to do something. If somebody gets hurt in that intersection and they come back and say the city knew and city didn't make them stop doing it, because they're parking it on city property. That's
Yeah.
the parking strip out front. They're parking it on city property, and so that the dump trucks can pick it up easier. I get it. It's easier, but it's not safe. And Eldridge is getting more and more traffic all the time because people come, well, not so much now.
Well, and especially with the Kansas detour.
Yeah, I was gonna say, now with Kansas, actually, we're not getting as much traffic in front of my house.
Well, right, but the
We're
other,
going around the other way.
the other piece is Arrow can't say, and Murray's can't say that they can't take the truck into the lumber yard because the lumber trucks are heavier than the garbage trucks.
Yeah.
So that go through there all the time.
Heavier and bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
there just needs to be something done. We've been saying this and saying it and saying it almost every meeting, and something needs to be done because somebody is going to get killed at that intersection.
right.
I've come up to Eldridge, and to Calistoga on Eldridge, and the line is so long going down towards Safeway. I just turn right and go down to Corin and turn left. You can't even get across the road.
Yeah.
And eventually somebody's going to, get tired of waiting and jump out there, and somebody's going to get killed.
Either that or they need to put a traffic light in. Well,
We don't do those anymore. do
Yeah,
roundabouts.
we don't
I know,
roundabouts.
I know. But it takes a century to put in a roundabout. And
Yeah,
they're,
ask the people at 136.
yeah, well,
Yeah, it will now.
Okay, anyway, if we want to stay on that. We really want them to do something. This is.
I don't have an update. I'm a little disconnected from that bit
I
now.
know. Well,
I'll make sure
everybody's
that
disconnected. We're trying to pull back together here.
I'll make sure that Mark gets the note.
And when does Ryan come on?
We are anticipating June 15th.
Oh, the middle. Okay. I was thinking the end of the month. Okay, awesome. Sign code violations. Anybody?
Same ones that are still up
Same.
from last meeting.
yeah.
Same as last meeting.
The banners are still up at the Teriyaki and
Yeah,
That's a beautiful building. Why are you hanging crappy canvas signs all over it?
they've got 8 of them on there now.
yeah.
They've added 3 more Pepsi ones. along the side.
No, Wawa needs to take that down. That's ridiculous.
And I haven't noticed the flutter flags at Herfy's, but they're probably still there.
I didn't notice that one, but I did notice that the boutique has removed theirs.
Okay.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Well, they don't have a permit they need a perpendicular sign there, and they just need to, apply for one.
Right.
We'll give them one,
And
but not a flutter flag.
did we ever find out about the banners on the
Oh, on the KB construction,
on KB Construction?
they look a lot like the banners we're hanging downtown. I don't know where you guys could stand on that.
Well, the difference being that one's private and the other's city.
Well, yeah, I know, but I think they're using that as their average. I like all are they A-board sandwich signs with their stuff on it pointing. Everywhere I go, I look and you see KB New Homes, and it's got arrows pointing.
Oh, yeah.
And they're way out. Some of them are like out at Old Military, and they're
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, sandwich boards all over, and that's
Yeah,
not supposed to be.
Maybe I'll see if Mark will entertain the idea of the code enforcement officer preparing a short little staff report to come to planning
We're just
commission.
worried that, we let him go and then
Right.
pretty soon, well, he's got one and then somebody
Right.
else puts him out and pretty soon we've got a huge problem we can't control at all.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know we sound nitpicky, but
No, no, you've brought it up consistently. It's just that each of us,
we have
each
to
of
be
us aren't.
consistent.
Well, and each of
Each
us
of us kinda
different.
wonky.
Yeah.
Well,
So
theoretically, that I heard a rumor that we might get someone back next month, maybe.
Right, but I don't know that she will.
I think she's moving on to a new name.
Oh, she got the job? Good.
Well, we won't mind. She can still come and do our,
Or we'll adopt you.
Shauna's not happy about that at all. Okay.
I was about to duck when I said that, Sean. So,
Good for the order planned absences for July. We're gonna meet July 6th. Are you maybe not gonna be here again? We do appreciate that you come.
July 6th, could be here.
Okay. Anybody? No? I have no life. I will be here.
Well,
If I'm not, I will let the group know in advance.
Okay, thank you.
and just fasten your seatbelts. This is the first July meeting that I will actually be here.
What'd you do? Put your dogs to sleep?
No, he passed on in April.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Doggone.
4 days before his 12th birthday.
Ugh.
So we're without him.
I am so sorry. That's
So that-
horrible.
So that changes our vacation plans. We don't have to leave town because of the inconsiderate neighbors that violate the law for a week and a half before, well, yeah, they do. And I mean, it's like the, Seahawks win and the howitzers go off.
Yeah.
4th of July starts on June, the last day of June.
Yeah, it gets
It's-
noisy.
Oh, yeah, well, New Year's.
Yeah.
Well, they're all crazy.
Ah.
Yeah, but I mean, reading the HOA
Yes.
for it, I'm gonna be looking into our HOA to see if some of the provisions in our HOA are the same as that.
Oh,
Because if they are, filing a complaint with the HOA to have the neighbors stop violating city law.
yes. Because the laws, I mean, it says July 4th, and only July 4th. And I don't think
Right.
they're even supposed to shoot them out after midnight on July 4th.
Nope, they are not.
But yeah, my dog won't even come up. She sleeps in my room upstairs. Anytime they set that off, she will not come upstairs. She waits until they all stop and then she won't come upstairs. I think she's afraid she's too close to them.
Well,
My dog wants to attack fireworks.
Oh, Lordy. Hi.
well, I mean, it's,
She is mad, like she is mad.
Anybody have a report on the council? Any of what's going on with them?
Let's see.
the hiring of the new city clerk.
Yep, so city clerk, we're presenting Danielle Charchenko, requesting confirmation with council on the 10th, as well as, an offer was made to Ryan Wheaton for city administrator. So we're
Who for
hoping-
the city administrator?
Ryan Wheaton.
Okay.
Anything else that would be interesting to you? We're looking at some staff adjustments at City Hall. Got some money back from South Sound 911 that chief wants to use for new radios.
Oh,
It's pretty great. $45,000 some money back. So yeah, it's not just a,
Chump change.
no, that's nice.
not for Ording. For Ording, that's a big chunk of money.
That's a lot.
Maybe Bellevue would be like 10.
Well, we'll take the Bellevues then.
We will be initiating interviews down the road for Public Works Director. Looking forward to that. The HR update. That's the part I know the most. Sorry.
Is that what you were hired for?
I do HR. Yeah. I'm the HR director.
And which hat are you wearing tonight?
Well,
Not HR.
also
Acting.
acting city clerk.
Yeah. Planning Commission Secretary.
Yes.
So all those notes on the minutes stabbed a little bit, but I'll make those adjustments.
It's hard to try and be Danielle.
Yeah.
Okay. we
Not
love
an
you.
easy
We
job.
appreciate
Yeah, I don't know how to
you.
put numbers on the agenda packet either. Evidently that was something she knew how to do. I don't know how to do that.
It's okay.
Figure it out.
That's what Post-it stickers are for.
Yeah.
No problem.
They're gonna, like the grant policy is gonna be more centralized now. Kind of funnel through the mayor and administrator. For a future grant.
Yeah. Just holding off till we get our feet under us with
Yeah.
the number of projects we've got going. Mhm.
Kim, I had a question. Did you find anything out about the bridge rail?
It's a budget cut.
So they went with the low rail instead of,
I didn't think you would love the answer, but it's the answer.
I'm not surprised. I kind of figured that's probably where it was going to go, but I was hoping that maybe they were going to add something to the top. The
It's only a lawsuit away from getting a full cage at the top. all
Oh, yeah.
around.
and that lawsuit's not long
No,
coming.
No,
No,
It's every other municipality or county or state project that has put a bridge across a state highway or major roadway has gone to the full cages, or at least, so that things don't find their way off the bridge onto vehicles passing underneath. And you get kids horse playing on
That's
that
what
bridge.
scares me. Is just
And
being stupid. not
One of the
doing
things that's going to
conventional.
happen is the kids are going to be the thing that comes off the bridge.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's happened. It's happened multiple times in the last 10 years across the state. That's
Yeah,
why.
because the original one, I pulled my file
Yeah.
and we saw the plan back in, well, I'll tell you how long it's been since we've seen it. It was 2011. But, the design was, I was trying to see if there's a picture of it that you could see it. They, has that half round,
Yeah.
so it's a half moon. So
Yeah.
it's,
Supposed to be.
yeah, that's what we approved.
Budget cuts, so they've just got the rails that, you know,
That makes me really nervous because
And-
some of those kids are.
yeah,
Mm. Yeah,
that was not a budget that they wanted.
yeah,
Let's go someplace else to find the,
oh God. Yeah, we made it as now I realize we didn't get the grant for that. The grant was a carbon thing. I get that. But it is a safety bridge to get the kids across the highway so they're not crossing the street on the actual road surface. But you put that many kids up on that thing and somebody's horsing around and being an idiot and somebody gets shoved, I can just see them going over the top of that rail. And that really disturbs me that they have cut that part. They should have, I don't know, cut somewhere else. Made it all ramps and no stairs. I mean, really and truly, you have to have the ramp. Can't get away from that. So why didn't we just make them all ramps and no stairs? And that's how you get on it. Stairs, you just fall down and crack your shin anyway. I always do that. Miss the step and crack my shin. Yeah. I am sad to hear that. That's
well, you
disturbing.
can't, in an emergency, kids aren't gonna run upstairs.
No, they're gonna be running up the ramps. And that's, but yeah, I just pray that nothing happens and they get the money somewhere and they put up real. And I've been driving to Seattle a lot lately, and it's really amazing. If you look at some of those, the bridges, they're cars. I don't think they're pedestrian particularly that I'm going under, but they've got all different kinds of designs and stuff that they've picked. One of them I went under, they had like, it was the little half moons, but they were smaller and there was multiple ones all the way down across the bridge instead of one giant one. It was just multiple ones. And somebody posted, we got a lot of bad publicity for the bridge to nowhere anyway. And somebody had posted, I think it was a Mukilteo. They had a big welcome sign and that was mounted on the front of that bridge so that when you drove into town, what you saw was not the bridge particularly, you saw the big welcome to, Mukilteo there. It was
Right.
really pretty.
And
That would cost a fortune.
well, and you could, but there's your 1% for the arts that's required.
There you go.
Well, it's a public works. Therefore, you have to have 1% for the arts. I mean, you put up a prison, you have to put 1% for the arts in the prison. Like the prisoners need to see it, but
We did talk about a mural and stuff at one point, but our muralist that does our murals, and she's retired now. She doesn't do them anymore.
it's
She came in
interesting.
fixed ours, but she won't do a new one.
Just got back from New Mexico and going through New Mexico, Utah, Colorado, and Idaho, and every bridge over had maybe not the curve things,
Mhm.
but they had decorative type fencing that went up at least 8 feet above the railing,
Oh,
so
good.
that you couldn't get anything through. And and they did it in such a way on most of these bridges that it was part of the artwork
Yeah.
built in to satisfy. And so,
Yeah, I've seen a lot, driving cross country, I've seen that.
yeah,
Lots of other cities have got some really, I used to take pictures of those, but
yeah,
when I'm driving, it's kind of hard to do that. But yeah, lots of different ideas on how to, make that safety fence look better.
yep.
But yeah, that just concerns me. That is a short rail. Maybe it's taller, maybe it's deeper once you're stepping up on there because they won't let you up there yet, but I don't know. It looks short. Okay.
Well, you look at the construction workers walking by on there in relation.
I've never
to-
seen anybody.
Oh, yeah.
ahead.
Yeah. I've watched the construction guys walking by there,
Yeah.
and that rail, nah.
It's not even waist high on the guys.
It's probably,
A lot of those teenagers are tall too.
yep.
Okay. Agenda setting, old business is fine, same as always. I'm sure that we'll see House Bill 1757 again. And, anything else you can find us?
I'll just give an update before we adjourn for my personal update. My husband and I are expecting our first baby.
Congratulations.
It's awesome.
So beginning in September, maybe October, I'll be virtual for a little bit while I have a baby
That's awesome.
and recover from having the baby.
Well, congratulations.
That is
Thanks.
great.
I did have one question. I don't know if anybody knows, but you know what's going on with the transmission shop? If when JJ Plumbing's gonna start that remodel?
They spray painted it. Like,
They just resubmitted their plans, so I just sent that today to Parametrics. So I'll do my review, and Parametrics will do their review, and then they'll need some right-of-way authorizations from Public Works and things like that. But hopefully soon for them.
it looks like they spray paint, like maybe like a
That would.
base coat or something or a primer, because the whole thing looks like it's white now, everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I drove by that the other day and thought, wow, okay. It's definitely shiny white. We are to number 8.
Oh, yeah. Move, we adjourn.
Dan Swanson seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? So carried.